Greetings, everyone. Here we are with another delightful video. This time I'm going to cover Alien Archives 1 for Starfinder Roleplaying Game First Edition from Paizo or Paizo Publishing. This book MSRPs for $39.99. It is a fairly thin book overall, but it's not super thin. This is essentially the monster manual for Starfinder. However, really important detail, it's not a typical or normal monster manual in the sense that it is just all monsters or enemies in the system. There is well over 20 different races or species that players can play in this. So in this book, there's actually value to players. So there you go. So if you want a quick read on that, there you go. First and foremost, we have the first book with the Skittermanders, which is basically Starfinder's goblins. Paizo has the goblins as one of their mascots for their Pathfinder Pathfinder First and Second Edition systems. However, Skittermanders basically overtook goblins as the mascot for Starfinder First Edition and are looking to become one of the main playable species in Starfinder Second Edition. Starfinder Second Edition playtest is still current. However, the first product that is official to release as a non-playtest product for Starfinder Second Edition will be coming out in April. So we have this really nice table of contents. It's important to note that the notes here includes player character racial traits. And then there's also a little bit of handy information right here. You can get this information if you don't want to buy the book off of Archives of Nethys. However, it's nice to have the book because the book also contains the lore in depth of the monsters. The asterisk denotes which ones have player stats or characteristics. The player options are Berethu, the Contemplative, the Drelake, the Dragonkin, Drow, Formian, Space Goblin, Grey, Han, Iskati, Kalo, Mekwani, Nera, Reptoid, Repiorian, Sacrius, Shobedad, Skittermander, Verhethi, Witch Ward, Rikuichi as your and Urag as a playable player race or species options. When we turn the first page, you have basic overview of how to read all the essential stat blocks, how to use the book here. This is all the different traits that are of importance to the monsters or the races or species in the book. It has monster reference symbols, combatant, expert, and spellcaster, denoting the typical role in which it takes place is in combat or in general encounters. As I said before, it denotes all the key words and traits here. And then it'll give you a nice little name right here in nice big bar guard. This is the main category for multiple different types of enemies, this big red bar, as well as the name or type of creature it is with its CR score right here, which is a CR3. You have your XP up here, what type of creature it is or where its origin is from, whether it's lawful, evil, good, or etc. Size is category, etc. Initiative bonuses, senses, and perception. Its defense scores, its defenses, or its defenses and its offenses, statistics, ecology information, and then you have all the other different variants, such as you have the Aeon Guard CR3 version. And then you have an Aeon Guard Specialist, which is a CR7 with more information. And then you have various special stat blocks for the specific equipment in which they utilize themselves, such as their Spec Ops armor, which your players can, once they kill these guys, can take for themselves and use, provided that they fit in it. And it basically describes the essential information on them, as well as any magic items and whatever level that's associated with them. So when people were voting on this in the voting on the community tab on my channel, this book was the least interested book of all the books that everyone was voting on. I mean, like, it had a really low score. And my natural guess is, well, all those other 3 books that was in the poll are stuff that players would use in adventures, would naturally think that, hey, there's stuff in this one. I'm really interested. I want to know what's in that book for myself, for my builds. And I left a comment in there that says, I'm surprised as the results for this, because this right here, which is the lowest voted one in all those in that poll, happens to be the book that has probably the best stuff for players to have. Now on to the next thing. We have the AVREV. We have the category right here and the basic information right here. The CR score and the XP registers out. It's a CR12. You got a nice little version right here, and then you have another one over here. And then you have another one with their each different little categories. So you have accurate laborer right here. This little guy right here. And then you have an accurate wingbot, right, which is right over here. And then you have fun little pieces of information here that your characters, little stuff that your characters can collect off of, deal with on these guys. An angel, and this is standard for Starfinder. There's a symbol, which is nice when you want to know that, hey, this guy is a punchy kind of sucker, or this is a specialist or a caster or something like that. And then it has all the essential information first thing, then the abilities, and then it has typically one to another. This is a CR7 right here, a parry, and this is an El Parry Constant, which is actually a CR nil, and assembly cube, and an asterary, and a Berethru. By the way, if you remember, this is the first one that I was listing off in the table of contents that has player statistics. You have an early stage Berethru and a Berethru, which is CR2 and CR5, and then as standard, all the information that you need over here. This is more of a skill monkey right here. But over here, you see this blue box right here. This is the racial or species traits for Berethru in Starfinder 2nd Edition. You have your ability score adjustments, your hit points that you start out with, your size and type information, early stage adaptation, which says see above, floaters characteristic, limited telepathy, and strange anatomy. So hey, that's the first one. You got a blood brother. Pretty creepy ass monsters in this system. You got aura goggles down here, which is the item that's shown up here. This is a Breveth. Kaipen. This is a contemplative. As you remember before, he's a caster type kind of opponent, CR2, but all the standard information on his abilities. However, yet again, as I said before, he is a playable species or race. You have your ability adjustments up here, hit points right here, which is actually 2 pretty low, size and type, applied knowledge ability, atrophied characteristic, psychic flight, and psychic senses. Crest Eater, a Delanoid, Devil Imager, or Devil Endbringer, a Dureliki, which has player statistics over here with some equipment unique to their species. You got a dragon, a young adult blue dragon with a energy cannon on his shoulder. And then you have the other variants of dragons right here, such as Black Dragon Template Graft, Blue Dragon Template Graft, Green Dragon, Red Dragon, White Dragon. You got Dragonkin, as well as the equipment that is common to them. So you have equipment stats up here for the Dragonkin, as well as the racial trait list for the Dragonkin right here, and so forth. Drow, yet again, more information on Drow as a playable species, and so forth. Electrovore, Elementals, Eliath, Phromian, which also is a playable species. They're insectoids, aids from the same planet that, good grief, one of the player races, this is in the core book, is from. Starts with a C. Your Space Goblins with your Space Goblin stat block for your player characters. You got a Gray here with Gray stat block. They are 2 hit points, 4 intelligence, -2 strength. Size, they are small humanoids with Gray subtype. Dark Vision, Greys have Dark Vision within range of 60 feet. Gray Magic, Greys gain the following spell-like abilities. The caster level for these effects equal to the Greys level. 1 a day, Mind Thrust. At will, Daze, Telepathic Message. And then they also have Phase. A Grey can shift itself out of the phase with reality as a reaction to gain 20% mischance against one attack. A Grey can use this ability a number of times per day equal to their Constitution modifier. You got a Han, which is this crazy ass bug species. A Hoelin, a Hesper. You got a mutation chart right here for the Hespers. You have the Eskish, which is basically lizard folk from Galarian, as well as their stat block right here. Inevitable Emmet, Kaleo, and then you have the, yet again, for player references right here for them. Kashik, a Kyvor, a Manakwi, which is basically monkey people. Another stat block right over here for player characters. A marooned one, which is a zombie. A mountain eel. A necrovite. Should have character stats for that one. A Nihili. A Nova Spawn. Inu, which is basically looks like a variant of a Minotaur, but also has stat block for player characters yet again right over here, so your players can use it. Oma, a Orocorian, basically even freakier version of a Lithid. A Reptoid with yet again character stat block right here or for player character race template for characters. A Robot Sentry. A Repioin, which has yet again player stats. Sarkeen, which has their own unique set of equipment plus character information for players. A Scavenger Slime. I love slimes. OGGM will be happy. Sharp Wing, a Shubhead, which also has a stat block, player race stat block information, a Skittermander along with Skittermander information for players, a Sorchet with items that you can acquire from this creature or can be made from parts from this creature. The Swarm, very important species. They clash up against everyone else. Symbiad, a Symbi Fiend. The Undead Minion. Ureg, which also has race information, race species information for players. A Verhathi, which also has race player information. A Void Hag. A Witch Ward, player information, as well as monster information. A Rikshit, which also has player information for them. And then there's a guide right back here on how to create your own monsters for your own adventures with the rule set for how they're calculated out and everything else. And how to work out your CR level to your stat arrays or ranges on adjustments for your, say, your combative array for monsters and your combat array attack statistics continuing on with defensive information, spellcaster array information, and so forth. You have all your important creature type information with modifications and adjustments. So when you are wanting to apply a undead template to a creature, you can do so, and there's the adjustments for adjusting that creature into an undead variant. We have various other types of templates, such as for demons, devils, dwarven, angel types, and stuff like that. You got stuff information on grafting class features into them and class graft entries. So in this book right here, they give you all the essential. They give you a nice ability by CR list right here. So different levels of abilities tied to CR, depending on the type of creature. Then you have sense information telling you how all the senses work and how they interrelate to CR and everything else. Summoning creatures, so when you're summoning, you're using casting spells to summon forth a aberration or an angel or something like that, or as a kitty or a demon or an elemental. This is where you go for that. You gotta get more of that fun stuff. Simple template graft. This is a simplified version of a bunch of from earlier to adjust various creatures. How to change up. So if you have a rat monster, you can make them a size bigger, and you can adjust based on this. As hey, you made them bigger. This is how it will affect their CR and their abilities. And if you make them smaller, that's what happens. If you give them a second head, what happens? If you make it artificial, that's what happens. You can have a Cerberus rat that's cybernetic and that be able to work it out. You got all your different abilities that you can attach to various creatures. That would also cause them to change their CR score. So you can build as you want. True speech and all the other fun stuff back here. And you have the open game license. And an advertisement for a lot of the essential stuff that you want from the early set of this. So anyways, what am I going to say about this? First and foremost, this book, considering the price range, it's only like $40, you know. Could be a few dollars cheaper. But for a player, this is a monster book, by the way, so you might get into a dangerous territory of metagaming against your game master if you read this book for all the monsters. This book probably scores for a player probably in the territory of like a 3.5 star situation. because there are still several races or species in this book you can play as. There's 20 of them. I love to get my hands on 20 new species to play as in Dungeons & Dragons 5th edition or Pathfinder or Starfinder or any other TTRPG there is. That is of the D&D-esque format of having a species, background, class, etc. That is a highly valuable thing to players. For the Game Master, you have not just the species for players in this book, which is very important and very valuable, but also you have a very nice broad selection of monsters with very good information on their ecologies and their culture and history that range from very savage and primitive organisms to very intelligent alien species that might be warring with your faction at some point over whatever you want to make it. There is magic items included in the book, which is awesome. That is thematically tied to specific species. There are advanced weaponry tied to various species in this book that is unique to them entirely. So when players defeat that attack squad, they can go over and pick up their unique weaponry that species specifically uses to fight other members of that species or other species and stuff like that. There's some items that are based off of what you can gather off of creatures in this book as well. There's all kinds of neat stuff. There's also an entire guide. We just got past that in the back of how to make creatures. How to literally make a creature for Starfinder First Edition. How to add special abilities to it. How to adjust its CR up and down by either changing its size or making it organic or primitive or making it larger, so forth, adding cybernetics to it, whether turning it into a fiend or a demon, so you can turn a cat into a devil cat if you want, and you can modify its stats accordingly to that. And then you can add cybernetic or a synthetic devil cat to it, and you can adjust its stats or characteristics based on that. So this is essentially a book that if you're a game master for Starfinder, the only knock that this book has is it's $40. And even then, that $40 is well spent in the book. This is solidly a 4-star product for a game master for Starfinder First Edition. If you are going to be game mastering Starfinder First Edition, after you buy the core rule book, this is literally the next book you have to buy. This actually takes precedence over the beginner's box. The beginner box for Starfinder First Edition actually is not that great. It is good for teaching people how to play. However, there are several issues with it, such as there are some omissions to some systems and mechanics in the system. It got pared down a little too much, and it has a simplified version of the AC mechanic of Starfinder First Edition, so it's actually misleading in some areas as to how the system plays. So you got that. But if you're a game master, this is 4 stars plus. This is high recommendation. For a player, after, say, the core rule book and the armory book and a few others, there's, the equipment books, the character operations manual and stuff like that. This book is pretty up there. Typically, monster books for players are a no-no, and I would say I would much rather a player not have this book. However, as a game master, this book is more valuable than a typical monster book to a player because it comes with literally 20 species or races that you can play as in the system. And a book with 20 species or races that you can play as, that have wildly unique characteristics that float, have telepathy, telekinesis, unique anatomy that can be morphed or shaped to adapt to various environmental situations, insectoid species. You got your greys in here, which it's really tempting to play as a gray in Starfinder, I guess. They have a pretty decent set of tools. And a whole bunch of other stuff in Starfinder. I would recommend this. I hate to recommend it to a player, but yes, players, this book is a recommend. It's not the top tier recommend. There are a bunch of books that are ahead of it, but still, after you've bought the core rule book, and bought like the character operations manual, and a few others, this book gets pretty close to the list of you are picking it up next kind of situation. So I regularly cover other tabletop role-playing systems. I show off stuff such as Warhammer 40,000 Roleplay Wrath and Glory 2nd Edition stuff. I do Call of Cthulhu. I do Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. First party and third party for Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition. I do Tales of the Valiant, The Broken Weave, alternative Dungeons & Dragons 5th Edition based systems. I do Pathfinder 2nd Edition, Pathfinder 1st Edition stuff. I do Warhammer Fantasy Roleplay, Traveler, The Dark Eye from Ulysses Spiegel. I show off a lot of different stuff on this channel. So if you are a new person to the TTRPG hobby and you want to discover new TTRPGs that you may have never seen before, hit the subscribe on this channel. I also cover classic TTRPGs on occasion, such as Star Frontiers, Original Dungeons & Dragons, Advanced Dungeons & Dragons, Gamma World. I have a Gamma World product coming up in my pile of things to come up with. Show off. So there is a very broad variety of stuff I have to show off to you. So if you want to see more of that stuff, check out the channel. Go to the video section and scroll down it. You might find something that you never knew that existed that will be just absolutely perfect for you as a player or game master. If you don't see anything there, you can go over to the community tab and check out the recent polls. And the recent polls will oftentimes show off what's coming up in the near future on the channel. And then, if that still isn't interesting enough, at least hit the subscribe button and hit the bell. That way you see the stuff come up. And maybe at some point in the future, you might see a product that pops up that actually is super interesting to you. I cover, as I said, extremely broad range of stuff. So anytime, anywhere, or the thing that you might be wanting the most might come up. So thank you very much for watching. Have a delightful day, a nice night, a wonderful week, and a magnificent month. And see you next time. Ciao.